Know why that was muted, but how's it going, everyone? And welcome to another edition of the Ryan Ripken Show. I'm your host, Zach Bollinger. No audio. Are we still? Is there no audio? Can you guys hear me? We all good on audio? We all good? Can I get a confirmation if audio? I'm assuming audio is good now. So, what's up, everyone? Welcome to this edition of the Ryan Ripken Show. Full transparency. Ryan's going to be away for the next few shows, but that does not mean the show stops because we have a lot to talk to. And honestly, a pretty uneventful. Don't know why my audio is just not performing the way it should. But gosh, just what an uneventful year in Baltimore, for real, honestly, right? Just nothing happening. It's been 24 hours now since the Baltimore Orioles made an insane splash. What are you going to do? But let's talk about it. It's official. The physical has been passed. The ink is bone dry on that contract, and there is a polar bear. There is a polar bear heading to Baltimore. Pete Alonso, if you missed our live stream talking about it yesterday, go check that out on the Ryan Ripken Show page or Kevin and Zach React. Both pages we simulcasted. Wow. If I told you I was over it, I would be lying. If I told you I was over, I would be lying. And Karen, yes, he is wearing number 25 as they put in an edit. Wow. Still not over it. But Pete Alonso coming to Baltimore. And before we get into all of that, we do have to shout out our friends over at Merit Clubs. Appreciate them and all they can do. A ton of holiday deals still going on there. So go check them out over at meritclubs.com. MERRITT, baby. Appreciate them and all the work they do. Pete Alonso, Baltimore Oriole. And if you want to know what you're getting with Pete Alonso, let me pull up the Baseball Savant page. Now, yeah, do we want to talk about, look at that. He doesn't walk that much, only in the 53rd percentile. Oh, he strikes out a decent amount. He whiffs on some pitches. He's going to chase a few more pitches than he should. But let me tell you something. Expected on base percentage, 96th percentile. Expected batting average, 88th. Expected slugging, 98th percentile. Average exit velocity at 93.5 miles an hour. That's the 97th percentile. Barrel percentage, 98th percentile. Hard hit percentage, 96th percentile. Sweet spot percentage, 85th percentile. And bat speed in the 91st percentile. Wow. You want to know what the Orioles are getting out of Pete Alonso? That's what they're getting out of Pete Alonso. They are adding a legitimate force to the middle of the Baltimore Orioles lineup. And we talked about it a little yesterday. What does this mean for the rest of the lineup? And I'll tell you something that maybe is not getting enough attention. It's the protection. When you looked at the Orioles throughout the past years, yes, guys like Gunnar Henderson, MVP level player in Gunnar Henderson. Who were you really afraid of that was batting behind Gunnar? Westy, he's going to produce. He's going to get on. But is that the big bat that you're going to avoid pitching around Gunnar for? Not necessarily. Okay, you have Basayo. Has potential to be a 30, 35 homer guy, but he's just 21 years old. So that's not really the protection you needed right now. You now have Pete Alonso that you can put behind Gunnar Henderson. And now that means you better pitch to Gunnar. Oh, you wanna just let Gunnar get on? You want to see an angry bat walk? Well, now Gunner's on, and there's ducks on the pond for Mr. 126 RBIs in 2025, Pete Alonso. For a guy who's hit over 50 home runs in a season. Pete Alonso adds a protection to this lineup for these young players that takes the pressure off of them. You know, that's the big thing. It's how does that help? Well, in all honesty, they no longer have to be that guy. Gunnar no longer has to be, it's Gunnar versus the world. You know, that doesn't have to happen. It doesn't have to be Gunnar has to take over. If Gunnar doesn't work, then who else is going to step up? Now you have Pete protecting Gunnar. Gunnar's protecting Westberg. You have to pitch to Westberg. He's going to produce when you give him the opportunity. Okay, now he gets on. Can't walk around Gunnar because now if you walk Gunnar, you got two guys on for Mr. Pete Alonso. So it takes pressure off of them. But don't just listen to me. We had a friend of the show, friend of the program on Foul Territory earlier today, and I wanted him to kind of talk about what this means for the guys around the Orioles, the rest of the guys in the lineup, what the Pete Alonso move means for them. So listen to our friend Ryan Ripken talk earlier today.
The ballpark early and often with him, and he's your RBI guy. And I've talked to a lot of people about this. I know some people say, hey, RBI it's a byproduct of where you are. Miss me with that. You're an RBI guy or you aren't. And Pete Alonso is an RBI guy. And what I said last year for the Orioles going into the season, because they had question marks on the pitching side, but they had this young talent. And the motto that I had was they go as far as their young core takes them. And they struggled. And now the pitching was tough, but the offense was supposed to be their strength and it wasn't. So the addition of Pete Alonso, what it really does, take the pressure off these guys to develop still at the big league level. There's going to be stress and pressure, but you don't have to be the guy anymore. Right now, Pete Alonso is going to be one of those guys. Taylor Ward is going to be one of those guys. And then Gunnar Henderson can slot in and be that third for you. Oh, and by the way, Jordan Westberg, he looks ready to go. So I think the addition more than anything, it just takes the pressure off of the guys having to prove something while they're still trying to figure out how to be a big leaguer. I think that's something that people underestimate is that you might have all the talent in the world, but when you have expectations that are on you, and not just expectations, like they're expecting you to be the reason why the Orioles win. Bring in Pete Alonso, bring in Taylor Ward, and then Gunnar and Westy. Well, then let those other guys like Cowser and Jackson and Adley get back on track. And this lineup can be really dangerous because of that.
Take the pressure off the rest of the guys. And I like that Ryan brought up, shout out to him. If you didn't catch him on Foul Territory, go back and watch that. I think he did a fantastic job. I hope he's not watching this to see me compliment him. Thought I did a good job there. But I'm glad he also brought Taylor Ward. The Baltimore Orioles struggled to score runs last year at times. The offense was supposed to be the strength, and at times it was a weakness. When you bring in Taylor Ward, when you bring in Pete Alonso, that is 229 RBIs in the 2025 season you're adding to the team. Let me repeat that so that we can all take that in together. That is 229 RBIs. 126 from Pete, 103 from Taylor Ward. Getting guys in is a skill. How many times you can talk about, oh, it's about situations. Like, yeah, they got guys on in front of them. And of course, if you get more guys on in front of you, you're going to get more RBIs. That's not always the case. Ask any Oriole fan. How many times did it feel like you were ripping your hair out because the Orioles got a man on third with no outs, with one out, and they couldn't get him in. They couldn't hit the fly ball, the weak fly ball to the middle of center field. Just a pop up to center field gets the guy in. A ground ball to second base gets the guy in. It takes skill to drive in 126 and 103 RBIs. In the Mike Elias era, there's been a single player to get 100 RBIs on the Orioles. It was Anthony Santander, who actually Pete Alonso taking his number 25. One time, one player, and I believe it was 2024. You want to talk about adding guys that know how to get guys in, to take pressure off the rest of the lineup. You added two. You added two guys that are going to help them. So let's go through. Let's say the lineup is, let's go Jackson Holiday first. Let's go Westberg second. I'm going to put Gunnar third, Alonso fourth, and let's put Taylor Ward 5. Jackson Holiday, your only job is to get on. You don't have to be bigger. You no longer have to be the superstar number one prospect. You don't have to be the guy. You don't have to hit 30 home runs. You don't have to bat 350. Get on base. Jordan Westberg, continue to produce. Gunnar Henderson, the pressure is off. You're no longer you have to be the guy. You look at Pete Alonso batting behind you. They have to pitch to Gunnar. And I'm going to tell you this, when you have to pitch to Gunnar, when he's getting more fastballs because he gets ahead 2-0, and the pitcher, the last thing he wants to do is to walk Gunnar in front of Pete. Gunnar's going to get fastballs. And when Gunnar's consistently getting more fastballs, you know what happens? The ball leaves the yard. The ball's hit to the gaps. Gunnar gets on. Gunnar had a down year. He was still one of the best players in the league. Gunnar Henderson is a superstar who I believe this addition of Pete Alonso is going to only elevate that. Okay, so let's say Gunnar gets on. Let's say maybe Westy did as well. Now Pete's up. You kind of want to pitch around Pete. I mean, you can't give up the 3-run homer. Oh, crap, you just walked Pete Alonso. Bases are now juiced for Taylor Ward, who knows how to get the ball in, to get runs in, put the ball in play. If you read anyone talking, any Angels fans, people talk about when Taylor Ward doesn't have to be the guy, he just has to be a part of the team. That's when he has the most success. That's when he goes out there and gets the most out of his play. We've talked to Albernaz, Craig Albernaz. We talked to him at the winter meetings, and everything you've heard about him, he gets the most out of these guys. They are going to work on each other's strengths. It's not always going to be about, hey, we have a cookie cutter mentality of everyone's got to be a power hitter, a pull hitter. They're going to work on everyone's individual strengths to make them good as an individual that can help the entire team. I think we are looking with the protection added to this team, with a new coaching staff and philosophy added to this team. This lineup is going to be scary. I forget the site, so I apologize, but projected WAR offensively in all of Major League Baseball, they updated it after the winter meetings. Projected WAR, wins above replacement offensively as a team, projected in the 2026 season, the Baltimore Orioles are third, only behind the LA Dodgers and the New York Yankees. The Orioles, by WAR projections, are projected to have the third best lineup in baseball. And that's without guys taking that step. That's without Basayo getting more comfortable. That's without Dylan Beavers being even more comfortable than he already showed as a rookie. Jeremiah Jackson. Jeremiah Jackson's the guy that's almost kind of forgotten about. He's going to post up wherever he needs to. He's going to come in late in the games. That guy just finds a way to get on. That guy finds a way to get on. So the lineup looks awesome. The lineup looks incredible. But now we got to think about, what does this move mean for the Orioles? What's next? Well, I'm glad you asked, because our friend of the program, my friend, maybe your friend, he's your friend, not really my friend. Friend of the program, Ryan Ripken, talked about this again on Foul Territory, about what is next for the Baltimore Orioles. And listen to what he has to say.
Rumors about, Edward Cabrera, Mackenzie Gore, guys that have team control and have that upside to be, let's just say they're a third on a staff, but have an upside to be a one. Not going to go that far to say as a one, but they have the upside to. Kobe and a couple guys I could see happening. But the reality is something has to give. And I think what Mike Elias in the front office realized that last year they wanted to see with the crop of players that they had developed, who was going to be a part of their plan and who was going to take that next step. And the reality is, they might have gotten some of those questions answered, and others might be undefined, but they can't wait any longer. I think that's the bigger part. They need to win. Look at the rest of the AL East. It's a gauntlet. Toronto's window is wide open. The Red Sox and Yankees, they don't rebuild, they retool. And then the Rays are the team that they're just going to be a pain in the butt because they play the game hard and they find ways to stay competitive. So it's to me, they're going to trade one of those guys, Mountie or Mayo. Wouldn't be surprised with either. And then they're going to go out and get they're going to go out and sign a guy. I don't know. I see the tweet up there. Yeah, I truly believe like the AL East, and this is why I love the winter, right? This division, if you are for real, you got to go out there and spend. You got to go out there and make moves. So I for sure think Baltimore is at least going to make two more moves here before we get towards spring training. I mean, two big moves to be specific.
Two big moves. Ryan Ripken put it all out there. Getting bold. But that's not crazy. It's not crazy to think the Orioles are going to make two big moves. And it's definitely not crazy to think that they could make some of the biggest splashes still in all of baseball. Because now you look at it. You have Pete Alonso. He is going to post 160 games at first base. He's going to give you 160. Believe it or not, Ryan Mountcastle and Kobe Mayo, that's two guys that play first base that now suddenly doesn't look like there's room. That doesn't mean the talent's not there. Now you have an influx of talent at a single position and a position that other teams need. So I think you see them talk to the Nationals about Mackenzie Gore. We've heard they are. We've heard they're talking to Edward Cabrera and Miami about Edward Cabrera. I think one of those two happens. And I think on top of that, I think they sign a pitcher. I would not be surprised. In fact, I will go out there and I will stamp my approval with Ryan. I think the Orioles make one trade and they make one big signing. I think Framber Valdez or Ranger Suarez, maybe. We've seen Imai. We've seen Michael King, all linked to the Orioles. And here's the thing. You can go, okay, before we'd go, okay, they're linked to the Orioles. Everyone kind of gets linked to the Orioles. Now there's precedent. The Orioles aren't messing around this offseason. They went for it to get Kyle Schwarber. They came up just short. Schwarber took their offer, gave it to Philly for one last chance to match. They decided to. He goes back there. They went all in on Pete Alonso. They got their guy. The Orioles aren't messing around this season. They're going for it. The money's there. And maybe more importantly, in the trade market, they have talent to do it. This entire offseason is about, or this entire past trade deadline was about getting an influx of talent back into the organization and into just the minor league system to build up the farm system, not solely because you're thinking, hey, all these guys are going to be great Baltimore Orioles one day. You didn't acquire 18 guys at the trade deadline, 18 prospects, because you think all 18 are going to be playing for the Baltimore Orioles. Let your farm system work for you. Go out there, trade these guys. I would love a Mackenzie Gore. I would love Mackenzie Gore. Get another lefty with number one upside. Bring him to Baltimore. Bring him to Baltimore and add him as your number three. But I don't think they stop there. I don't think just because they go get a Mackenzie Gore, just because they get an Edward Cabrera, I think they probably land one of those two. I just have a feeling they want a young, controllable pitcher. If they're going to give up talent, if they're going to give up Kobe Mayo plus a few mid-level prospects, they want talent back, and they want controllable talent. Maybe it's Freddie Peralta. They've been in on him. I've talked about it many times. I have been screaming from the mountaintops for a few months now. Freddie Peralta makes so much sense. Go get a guy. He's only costing you $8 million this year. The Brewers aren't paying him. Get a guy, trade for him, try to sign him to an extension if you can. We'll see how much he would cost to get prospect-wise. You had Freddie Peralta and one of Framber or Suarez. I mean, listen, you want to talk about guys that can change a rotation. You would have Kyle Bradish, Trevor Rogers, Mackenzie Gore or Freddie Peralta, a Framber Valdez or a Ranger Suarez. Then Dean Kramer's your five. And I don't think people understand Dean Kramer is your five. If Dean Kramer is your five, you're doing something right. You're doing something right. So, hey, this is all starting to come together. The Orioles have this ammunition to go out there and make something happen. They have the ammunition that any team that is trading away top-end starting pitching would want. The Orioles now have an influx of minor league pitching. They have an influx of minor league hitting. They had 3 picks in the first round last year. They have guys that other teams would want, that they wanted in the draft. The Baltimore Orioles are not done. In fact, I would go all the way, maybe getting ahead of myself, but I feel pretty confident in saying not only are the Orioles not done, this thing might just be getting started. Because every player out there, every starting pitcher, doesn't matter if they're a free agent, if they're on the trade block, one team keeps getting brought up. And it's those pesky boys in Baltimore. Mike Elias is operating with an aggression we have not seen in Baltimore. There is an urgency to win. They want to win, and they want to win now. And in a stacked AL East, like Ryan just talked about, where he hit the nail on the head. Yankees never rebuild, they retool. Yankees are always going to be the Yankees. The Red Sox talk about a team with young talent. They're looking to upgrade. They're trying to bring Bregman back. One of the big reasons that getting Pete was so big, not only did you bring him to Baltimore, the number 2 team was Boston. You were going to have to face him 12 times a year. That green monster, that's 50 home runs right there. You take Pete not only away from going to a rival, but you bring him to Baltimore. The Blue Jays, they're in on Kyle Tucker. They're still looking to add. This team was just in the World Series. They just spent $210 million on Dylan Cease. Think they're going anywhere? The Rays could send out 26 guys that you have never heard of in your entire life, and they'll win 85 games. It's just what the Rays do. The AL East is the best division in baseball. You can look at the NL West. I agree. They've got top-heavy teams. But it's hard not to look at the Baltimore Orioles in this stacked AL East and say they can compete. Not only that, but Ryan made a few other, bold claims about going out and getting pitching. So let's react to one last Ryan Ripken foul territory clip, and we'll talk on the other side.
Losing games 8-7 because the rest of this offseason, like you just said, the American League East is gunning after some pitching. The American League East is gunning after the rest. You can't just continue to add to your position players if they don't add to the pitchers. You said they're going to add to the starting rotation, but I get that in $5, and I got $5 at the end of the offseason if it doesn't happen.
Well, I hear you. I see what you're trying to spin here, but I can say pretty confidently, they're not going to get burned twice. I would be shocked. And what I mean by that is last year they were trying to figure some things out. And I think one part that people are missing when new ownership comes in, some of it's hitting the ground running. Others is let's assess what we have and go from there. With what happened last year, it stung so deeply and it was deep rooted in Baltimore. Everything that Michael Elias said on his wish list has happened so far except starting pitcher. They will make another move. It's not a maybe, it's a guarantee. They will go get another guy. I think that they get two for all the reasons that they mentioned. And this is even for the long term of it. We're talking about building momentum. Baltimore, even with the down year last year, if we look in that division, they make a couple moves. Baltimore, just like Toronto, Boston, New York, they can win the AL East, and not only win the East, they could go to the World Series. So I think the urgency's there. And I think the best lesson is learning from the past. And I know that Mike Elias in the front office took a lot of heat last year. But one thing I want people to understand is there was a reflection period and going, I didn't do enough. I messed up. And his actions now have to speak louder. And so far, his actions are showing he's learned a lot. But when the deal's done, people will feel a lot better. But I know a move's coming, and I'm just curious on if I'm right on who it's going to be.
There you have it. A Ryan Ripken guarantee. So if it doesn't happen, go yell at him, not me. Just going to say it. Yell at him, not me. But a guarantee that something is going to happen. And you know what? I'll double down for him. I guarantee it too. Kobe Mayo and Ryan Mountcastle. Both of them ain't going to be here when they break for spring training. Doesn't make sense. Both those guys have value, and they have value to teams that need first basemen. They value to teams that are looking to rebuild. The Orioles are not done. They are going to make a splash, and I think Ryan hit the nail on the head there. They're learning from last season. They're learning that, hey, we didn't do enough. They saw what the team had. They identified, hey, we're letting the young guys take that step because we said all last season, it doesn't matter what you do. It's up to the young guys to take that step if they're going to compete. Guys didn't do necessarily what they had hoped. So how do you counteract that? You bring in Pete Alonso. You bring in Taylor Ward, two guys that can drive in runs. You go out there, you get Ryan Helsley. You bring back Andrew Kittredge. I still think they go get another back-end bullpen piece. I don't think they're done there either. But maybe most importantly, this team has the aggression and has the ability to go out and make a move happen. They almost have to make a move. They have an influx. They have too many first basemen, too many talented guys at first. Do not be surprised if the Baltimore Orioles break for spring training in February and they have another frontline pitcher from a trade and another frontline pitcher from free agency. I'm seeing some questions. One, if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. We are live at 5 Monday through Friday. Little different over the next few episodes over the next week. Ryan is not going to be on the show. He will still be keeping up to date on Twitter and all of that. So make sure to follow him over there at the Ryan Ripken Show. I'm Zach Bollinger, if you do not know. I'm going to be over the next week or so. Brad will be in on some days as well. But for the most part, I'm sorry you're stuck with me. But if you're going to be stuck with me, I'm glad we're talking about something this fun, something that we haven't seen. I'm 25 years old, almost 26. I am very confidently saying this is the most fun I've ever had in an Orioles offseason. And it doesn't just mean, oh, they've gotten the best players. Yeah, I think Pete Alonso, Ryan Helsley, adding Taylor Ward, getting Andrew Kittredge back, I think they've done a lot. But let's also talk about the rumors. Every rumor, there's one team that's in it, and it's the Baltimore Orioles, to the point where it almost feels comical. And before, you would sit there in previous offseason when the Orioles were mentioned, you'd go, oh, they're just for leverage. And it felt like that again with Kyle Schwarber. It's like, they got the contract out of the Orioles, and then they just went to Philly and signed it. That stung. This ain't your dad's Orioles team. This might be your grandfather's Orioles team. Might be, or I guess depending on your age, it might be your dad's Orioles team. This is a team that's going for it. This is a team that's trying to win. They're being aggressive. I've never seen the Orioles move with this amount of urgency, with this type of aggression. They want to win. This ownership group wants to win. And John Morosi talked about it yesterday on MLB Network. And I'm going to be honest, it got me fired up. I have never in my life heard the Orioles talked about in this manner. John Morosi talked about, it was Ken Rosenthal, I believe, on Foul Territory, talked about, hey, this Orioles team is doing something that no one expected. They are putting together an incredible team. They are moving with an aggression we've never seen the Orioles move with. But at the same time, he even echoed, this team is not done. And then something he said that stuck out to me. He said the ownership for a mid-market team is stepping up. Say what you want about Rubenstein and tossing the hats out. You can say, oh, hey, 2025, we got a bobblehead of him when we're losing games. You can make the jokes. But what you can't say anymore is that David Rubenstein and company are not stepping up to the plate. Ken Rosenthal talked about it yesterday. He said this ownership is stepping up and saying enough is enough. We are not a last place team. That lit a fire under this ownership. They are stepping up and saying enough is enough. It is time to go. It's time to go. And that's what's happening. You don't sign Pete Alonso for 5 years. And I want to point this out. 5 years, $155 million, 0 deferred, 0 opt-outs. This isn't one of your classic Orioles contracts where you're sitting there going, oh, it's really a 2-year deal. Oh, it's really a 1-year deal. They didn't sign Pete to 5 years and give him an opt-out after 1. It's not what happened. Pete Alonso, he doesn't have that, oh, it's a classic Orioles thing. He's just kind of signing, but then he goes and leaves after one season. The Orioles paid him. That's a fact. But Pete Alonso, one of the top free agents on the market, a superstar in Major League Baseball. Not only did the Orioles commit to him, but a superstar free agent committed 5 years to the Baltimore Orioles. 5 years. No deferred money, no opt-out, limited trade clause. Pete Alonso is an Oriole until 2030. That doesn't get you fired up. I don't know what will, because it doesn't stop there. Doesn't stop there. This team is not done. This team is just getting started. I think the Baltimore Orioles, and Ryan said it earlier on Foul Territory in one of the clips we just reacted to, this team wants to win the AL East. This team wants to win the American League. And my God, this team wants to win a World Series. I think this ownership is ready. I think this front office is ready. I think they are going to be led by a guy who is ready in Craig Albanese. Talking to him at the winter meetings, that's a guy you want to play for. Off camera, we had maybe a 30-minute conversation with him. If you want to see the full interview, it's on this channel. Go check it out after this live stream. We had Craig on for about 12 minutes, so go check that out. He talked about why he chose Baltimore. He talked about his mindset, dealing with adversity. Go check that out. But something I took away is I understand why every player who's ever played for him, why everyone who's ever been around him says everyone would go to war for this guy. The Orioles are ready to make noise. And my goodness, are they already? And just thanks for showing up to work, Ryan. I guess we've had Ryan here, but not here. We've had 3 Ryan Ripken clips from Foul Territory. We got Ryan in the chat. What more could you ask for? But yeah, if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken's show live Monday through Friday at 5. We are live at 5, a little different over the next week or so, with Ryan being away, getting a much-deserved time off. But that doesn't mean that it stops. Yes, I know the movie quote. Yes, I know the movie quote. This guy is just, he doesn't, I don't know the movie quote. The show don't stop. Show don't stop. We will be here. Brad will be joining me on some shows as well. But hey, Ryan, I just admit I don't know the movie quote. I know it's a, it's Will Ferrell. I know it's Will Ferrell. 90% sure it's Will Ferrell. Even when Ryan's not here, he still checks me on movie quotes. This is unreal. Yeah, you see? So if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe. Appreciate everyone who's tuning in. Going to be a shorter-ish show, probably going to go for about an hour. But what a fun time in Baltimore. And I saw someone talk about Imai coming from Japan somewhere up here. So I'm sorry if I can't find it to pull you up. But are the Orioles, we've heard the Orioles are connected. And this is going to I don't want to say this is going to come to us as a surprise, but I don't think it's unrealistic. Usually you would see a team, you'd see the Orioles get grouped in to these other big market teams. And you're like, yeah, no way the Orioles compete. there's a domino effect. We had John Morosi on the show at the winter meetings, and he talked about sometimes you have to overpay. Sometimes you have to overpay to get these big free agents. But you do that as a mid-market team like the Orioles, because if you do it enough, you get the benefit of getting guys for market value. Pete Alonso's down in Baltimore. You don't think that took notice across all of Major League Baseball? You don't think people start looking around going, oh, the Baltimore Orioles are serious? And not only that, something that I have not even talked about this show, and maybe it's a crime that I'm 44 minutes into the show and haven't brought this up. Maybe the most impressive part of the Pete Alonso thing, he's a Scott Boras guy. The Orioles beat out a multiple big market teams for a superstar who is managed by Scott Boras. Welcome to 2025. Welcome to the new age Baltimore Orioles. You know, new ownership. And actually, I'll give him a little bit more credit. He brought this up on Foul Territory as well. A lot of people think that new ownership, they get there and immediately the first offseason, they're going all in. This new ownership, they took a year to see what they had. They wanted to understand what this team had, what this team needed. Now they're going out there, going toe-to-toe with big markets and taking their guys. If the Phillies would decline to match that offer, Schwarber would have been here. This ownership, we talked, Mike Elias at the GM meeting said, hey, we don't have a cap. We don't have a budget. You know, money is not an issue. They're giving us total reign of that. A lot of people laughed. Mike Elias this offseason has spent more money on contracts than he had in his first 7 seasons combined. And actually, we do have confirmation. It is going to be, it looks like 25. So get your Pete Alonso 25 jerseys and get them ready for opening day, because I'm ecstatic. There's a buzz around the Baltimore Orioles again. Only really took a year off, but the Orioles are doing it. They are doing the thing. And we'll try to work something out. You guys, you trust us. We'll try to talk to people. We'll try to have our people get in contact with their people. We'll see what happens. But also go out there and tomorrow, 4 p.m., Pete Alonso's going to have his press conference. And then guess what? It just so happens as his press conference wraps up after 4, I will be back here live at 5 on the Ryan Ripken Show channel. Hit that like and subscribe button to talk about. We're going to go over clips. We are going to see what he says, and then we will discuss it all. Seen a lot of people talk about Valdez versus Suarez. They won a lot of years, all of that. I would do it. If you want big name guys, I would give Valdez 4 or 5 years. You know, I think this Orioles team, they now have the aggression to do it. I think they do. And yeah, we just talked about this. I think they get one free agent. I think they make one trade. They are definitely making a trade. I'm going to spoil it for everyone. They're going to make a trade. How do I know that? Because they ain't walking into spring training with three starting first basemen, especially when a lot of teams with controllable arms want a first baseman. I think that's the route that they go. I would be shocked. would be shocked if they didn't make one big trade. They're leaving here with something. They are leaving here with something, and I could not be more ecstatic about it. I just think that this is I would love for it to be Mackenzie Gore. I don't know. Something feels right about that. Mackenzie Gore in Baltimore, maybe Kobe Mayo's in Washington. Maybe it's Mountcastle plus some prospects, Kobe plus some other prospects. But I have a feeling. And this is something that I think is really funny. And, when we talk about this lineup, Sam Basayo has the potential to hit 30, 35 homers. I mean, we saw the power on display in his first 31 games. He's got the potential to hit 35, 40 home runs. That guy's going to bat like 6th or 7th at best because you got a bunch of dudes now. Colton Cowser, I know people aren't the most hype about Cowser. Yeah, he had a down year. He barely hit above 200. Let Albernez work with him. Let this new pitching or hitting staff work with him. I think Cowser's in for a massive bounce back. And yeah, you know what? I think this and I talked about this yesterday. Taylor Ward, if he was your big addition to the lineup, okay. It's a lot of RBIs. You help out in that aspect. But are you really terrified of Taylor Ward? Not really. You had Taylor Ward on top of the fact that now you got Pete Alonso sitting there in the middle of the order. You had 103 RBIs on top of the 126 you added with Pete Alonso. There are a lot of runs that are going to be scored. And as we talked about, as Ryan mentioned on Foul Territory, the next step is to get the pitchers so you can go in the postseason and make some noise. This Orioles team wants to win, and they want to win now. I think that's pretty fun. If you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Going to go over, obviously, Travis Jones did just sign a 3-year extension with Baltimore. He was going to be we found out, a restricted free agent. I'm going to get into that in just a few minutes, but wanted to put a bow on this Orioles conversation because, man, am I fired up. Man, am I fired up. And look at this. Best ability is availability. Best ability is availability, and that's what Pete Alonso does. He shows up to the park in back-to-back seasons. Let me read you this. He has played in 162 games in 2024. He played in 162 games in 2025. What a 2023, tough. Only played in 154 games. 2022 only played in 160. 2021 only played in 152. Obviously, they shortened the 2020 season, played in 57 of the 60. 2019, he played in 161 of 162. This guy in 2022 had 131 RBIs. He had 118 in 23. He had 126 last year. When he won Rookie of the Year in 2019, he had 53 home runs, drove in 120. He led the league in homers. This is a guy that you can pencil in. When you look at his expected home runs in New York, it was 36 last year. If he played all of his games at Camden Yards, he's projected he would have hit 45. A lot of people worried about, Camden Yards with that wall, even though it's moved in a little bit, is that no. Pete Alonso was projected to hit more home runs at Camden Yards than he was elsewhere. So this Orioles team is ready. They still need to finish the job. And I think they're going to. I think they're going to go get 2 more starting pitchers. I think they go get another bullpen guy, maybe not the big name that everyone wants. You got Helsley already, but I think they get another guy to bridge from Kittredge in the 7th to Helsley in the 9th. You know, you have Dietrich N still. Rico Garcia looked good at the end. You still have Keegan Aiken. I know everyone's out on Yennier Cano. This is a guy that he's put it together before, and you just hope he can again. You just hope he can again, because if he does, it adds so much to your bullpen, and that's why they're going to give him a chance. That's why they're going to give him a chance. So if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. I know I've said it a few times, but Ryan Ripken Show live Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock. Last thing, just a little housekeeping before we get out of here, because we do talk all sports. Our backbone is always going to be baseball. We love baseball, and my goodness, do I get fired up when the Orioles are playing good baseball and when they're playing aggressive in the offseason. But did want to bring this up because, hey, when a guy gets paid in Baltimore, we got to talk about it. Travis Jones with a very deserving 3-year, $40.5 million extension, $25 million guaranteed. Jones was a pending free agent and is now locked up. This is a guy, especially with the uncertainty around Matabike, you had to bring this guy back. They get the job done before he ever reaches free agency. A lot of people thought he was as good as gone. He was a top 10 free agent projected. He was probably leaving. But the big guy stays in Baltimore. Next up is probably Tyler Linderbaum that they are going to focus on. So we will see how that goes. If they're able to reach an agreement with him, I hope so. We will also find out the entire cap ramifications of this deal over the next few days. But the Orioles are making big splashes, bringing in guys, and the Ravens are trying to keep a young core together. They do not want to go, obviously, into a rebuild with a ton of free agents. Big thing for Baltimore has always been the trenches. They need to get better there on both sides of the ball. This is a step in the right direction, keeping your big guy, no big nose tackle in Baltimore. So if you want a little bit more on that, Kevin and I might talk about it a little later on, maybe tomorrow. I'm sure he has a million things out about it already, but wanted to bring that up before we get out of here. Lamar Jackson back at practice, or Darius Washington with another full practice. So we'll see what happens this Sunday. Ravens take on the Bengals. I mean, if the season's ever been on the line, it's this week. Got to win out to make the playoffs, it seems. So first step is going to be to win on Sunday. We will see how that goes. If you win on Sunday, you have a little bit more hope going forward. Just win. Go 1-0 each and every week, and we will go from there. It just feels like, can the Orioles and Ravens ever be good at the same time? I'm not going to lie, guys. When we started talking, obviously, after a rough Orioles season and all the hope surrounding the Baltimore Ravens, I didn't necessarily think that on December 11th, or I guess December 10th, so yesterday, the Orioles would be the team getting me fired up to distract me from the Ravens. Be honest, if the Ravens have another back-breaking turnover, I will be I will just be telling myself the entire time, we got Pete Alonso. So that's going to kind of wrap it up for this edition of the Ryan Ripken Show. I'm Zach Bollinger. Ryan will be back in a little bit. He'll be back when he's back. But over the next probably 6-7 episodes, I hate that I just said that. I'm so sorry, guys. Over the next 6 episodes, it's going to be me for the most part. Brad will also be joining us. Maybe we get some Kevin Ostreicher, maybe a Wild Rocco DeSangro. I don't know. We'll see what happens there. But appreciate everyone for tuning in. What a fun time in Baltimore. Baseball is better when Baltimore's good. And my goodness, is Baltimore way better. Baltimore, hey, Baltimore is a baseball town with a football problem. People here love their baseball, and the Orioles are going for it. I'm excited to see what happens. I do not think the Orioles are done. I believe that they are just getting started. They are in on every pitcher: Framber, Suarez, Imai, Michael King, Freddie Peralta, Mackenzie Gore, Edward Cabrera. You name a pitcher available, the Baltimore Orioles are going to be involved. And this ain't like before. This isn't like before. Just because the Orioles are mentioned as a possibility doesn't mean that they're just being used for leverage. This team has made the deals. They've made their money. They've given out their money. The Orioles are being aggressive, and they are going to make some noise the rest of the offseason. So hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. I'm Zach Bollinger. Follow me on Twitter at Zach Bollinger18. Hit that like and subscribe button as you go out. And yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow live at 5. Orioles introduce Pete Alonso live on MASN at 4 o'clock. Then come right on over here at the conclusion of that, because we're going to talk all about it. Appreciate each and every one of you. Have a day. Have a night. Have a great stinking Thursday. And we'll see you tomorrow for another edition of The Ryan Ripken Show.